Use your wireless. I just wanted to tune in.
Is this okay? Can everyone hear me?
Here we go.
Alright, so hi everyone, my name is Dello-lacovo. I'm going to be talking to you today about technology I'm really excited about for a lot of reasons, cellular agriculture. I don't work in the technical side of this, I work in the advocacy side mostly, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the technical part, how it works, but I'm going to be focusing on why I think it's important and what the future looks like. Okay, so cellular agriculture there's a lot of different ways that it can work, but essentially it's just growing animal products directly from cells rather than through an animal. So, I mean, the way we traditionally make animal products is we have an animal on the farm, we grow it, we feed it, and produce some products. We kill it and take, whatever. But cellular agriculture, we can potentially get a cell, maybe from a biopsy from the animal, and we can put that in a medium, growth medium, and then grow it into, say, a steak or whatever else, and you skip potentially the whole process of farming an animal. So Winston Churchill kind of first talked about this in 1931. He said, "We shall escape the absurdity of growing a whole chicken in order to eat the breast or wing by growing these parts separately under a suitable medium." He predicted we'd have this commercially available by 1981, so he's a little bit off, but I think we're getting pretty close. We have made them, it's just about getting them cost competitive now. But the fundamental issue that Winston Churchill was talking about is it's just a really inefficient process. At best, you can get 9 calories input for 1 calorie output. If you're talking about like the best conversion ratio is for a chicken, and that's with significant genetic modification to the chicken. So you feed the chicken.
Where is that ringing?
You feed the chicken 9 calories of grain or food, and then eventually you get 1 calorie of meat fat. The reason is chickens, they have a working brain, they have working physiology. A lot of the calories are expended on doing that, and also you're growing things that you can't eat, like the feathers, the bones, and so on. So now, potential products, I mean anything that comes from an animal. So meat, dairy, eggs, probably the biggest ones, but pretty much all of this stuff. And I'll talk about some of these, a few examples later on. So I've got a short video here which talks about how it works. I figured that would be better than me trying to explain it as not a technical expert. Let's see if this works. There we go. Is that audio, Steve?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Maybe.
Can we get it?
Right.
Harvested in a small and harmless percentage. Next, the tissue is cut into minuscule pieces to separate the muscle fibers in the cell. This is how it looks close up. The muscle tissue consists of fat cells and muscle cells, which are separated to produce cultured beef. By dissecting the muscle cells, individual cells can be removed and cultured. The cells start dividing. Eventually, one muscle cell, more than 1 trillion cells can be grown. These cells naturally merge to form so-called myotubes, which are no longer than 0.3 millimeters. The myotubes are then placed in a ring around a central hub of gel. Muscles' innate tendency to contract causes them to put on movement, growing into a small piece of muscle tissue.
It's a different kind of music. So.
A small piece of tissue, this myotube can produce more than 1 trillion strands. Pieces of muscle are layered together, we get exactly the same thing we started with.
So that that's just one way that it can work. There's a lot of different ways, and that's for one particular product. And that's just to give you an idea of kind of what we're talking about. Another way, which I'm actually more excited about, and which we've already done for some other uses, is we can, I'm not a biologist, but we can trick things like yeast cells to act like animal cells. I'm not sure exactly how they do that, but we've already done this with rennet. So rennet is it's naturally sourced from the stomach of ruminant animals like cows. And it's an inherent process in making most different types of cheeses. But for the last 20 or so years, pretty much all rennet in cheese is from yeast. And we've just developed the yeast to act like the rennet that we originally get from a cow. So, I mean, technically we're already using cellular agriculture whenever you have cheese, most likely. So, there's no reason why we can't get to that for other products like beef and so on. So, why do we want this? There's kind of three areas we're going to talk a little bit about. One is for, of course, animals, environment, and public health. So, for animals, there's just a huge opportunity to reduce the amount of suffering that animals experience. So around about 500 billion land animals are farmed in Australia each year, 70 billion globally. The vast majority of these are not kept in good conditions, they don't have great lives. So we have a potential, I mean, if we care about non-humans, which I think we should, we have a potential to do a lot of good to reduce their suffering by converting people, transitioning people to eat cellular agriculture products. So, environment, animal agriculture is, it's 11% of Australian emissions over a 100-year timescale. So, what that means is when you look at the emission forcing effect, so the climate forcing effect of the emissions over the 100-year timescale. But when you look at it over a 20-year timescale, it's actually 50% of emissions, and that's because animal agriculture has a high proportion of methane. Methane is shorter lived in the atmosphere, but has a higher climate forcing effect. So another way to think about this is if we want to get the most immediate reductions in emissions and temperature change for climate change, we should be focusing more on animal agriculture rather than the sectors that we traditionally focus on, like energy and transport. 50% is just a huge user of land. This plays into the whole inefficiency thing. Cellular agriculture has a lot of benefits, like you need less water, you need less land, you'll create less emissions. Yeah, it's inefficient. I mean, the best we can get is 9 calories of input for 1 calorie of output, and that's just with an immense amount of genetic modification of chickens. Like the chickens we have today are just so far removed from the original red jungle fowl, the actual original birds that chickens derive from. It's one of the leading users of water in Australia, one of the biggest users of land. And public health, something maybe people don't think about so much. So this is just letting aside any health issues with consuming, especially processed meats, too much. But also, a lot of meat samples tested have a high proportion of fecal bacteria, or E. coli, and so these present a pretty substantial public health risk. So growing meat outside of an animal, this would just completely negate this issue because there would be no fecal matter. So. And also, most of the world's antibiotics are fed to farmed animals. So, when you have a farm with a number of animals, especially a concentrated farming operation, you have to feed the animals antibiotics proactively because if you wait for, was that a question, sir?
Just wanted to say that that's illegal, so you can't do that.
What's that? What is sorry?
You can't feed animals antibiotics, so like except for a veterinary purpose.
Okay,
In America you can.
Yeah.
Here you can't.
I'm surprised that's fair enough. Well, it definitely happens a lot in the US and also in some developing nations. I mean, they do it proactively to stop outbreaks because if you just kind of, if you waited for something to occur, it might be too late to prevent some kind of major outbreak. So at the moment, 700,000 people die each year because of antimicrobial resistant diseases, and if that trend continues to increase, that could get to about 9.5 million per year by 2050. And there's good reason to believe that the use of antibiotics in animals is actually accelerating that growth. So I think something like 2/3 to 3/4 of antibiotics are used in farmed animals.
Are we trying to get it to 9.5? Or the other one?
Lower would be
Oh,
better.
okay.
It depends on the
Depends if you're in the overpopulation party, I don't know.
Guess the animals will be disease-free.
Animals would be sweet.
So why is this urgent? I mean, developing nations, their animal product consumption is just going up as they develop. This is just a known thing that happens as nations develop. Their average per capita meat consumption goes up. This is China, and it's projected meat consumption is just expected to continue to go up. Even in developed nations like the US and Australia, the consumption is still increasing. So now, before I show those stats, I was going to ask people, based on what I've talked about, or maybe what you've heard, would you try, say, like a beef product, like a beef patty or something made from cellular agriculture? Hands up, I'm just curious.
I'd be so keen.
Okay. Well, my next question was, would you have it regularly? That's the right question.
Yeah, try it regularly.
Okay.
Depends how the try goes.
Yeah.
If it tastes like crap, no.
So,
I've got a question
Yeah.
for you. You're
Yeah.
making muscle tissue in a dish, right?
yeah,
The muscle comes from using those muscles.
yeah,
How can you guarantee it will have the same texture?
There is plans for that.
yeah. So
You're
they
gonna exercise them.
yeah. I mean they
Like you can electrocute the cells.
yeah. You can induce contraction.
Like isn't that just using more energy than it takes to make a cow?
Well, a cow still has to, so in theory no, because a cow still has to, like it has a brain that functions, it has to walk around and do a bunch of other stuff that's just not actually related to like growing the mass of the meat. So in theory, like the floor of energy that we can get to is just much lower than the floor of energy for like a cow.
Yeah, the cow's getting the energy from somewhere, right?
Yeah, cool. So in 2018, 66% of Americans said they're willing to try clean meat. I think we're a bit higher proportion here, which is not surprising. Seems like a pretty tech, interested group of people. So, and 53% said they'd be willing to try eat it regularly as a direct replacement.
Why clean meat?
Sorry.
Why call it clean meat?
So people call it clean because it avoids the fecal bacteria issue. So I think that's sort of so they initially called it lab meat, which is probably what people are more familiar with. There was a bit of a publicity issue with that, like people were like, oh, like it's grown in a test tube or something. And so there was a concerted push from people in the field to try and move to a different name. They went to cellular agriculture describes the whole field, but it's kind of, even that has some like perception issues around like people don't really know what it means, I guess.
But isn't it pretend? Like what the growth media is, it's cow fetus blood, right? Which you can
At the moment it is, yeah.
What else can you feed us a muscle cell but blood? It's what it evolved for. If you can replace the blood, you can cure lots of disease.
Yeah.
More important than the meat.
Yep. So I mean, these like a lot of the processes they use in cellular agriculture are already being used in like human health. Like I mean, we've done similar things for like growing skin cells for like skin grafts and stuff. But I mean, there's no reason why in theory we can't synthesize like fetal bovine serum. Like I said, we've already done it for rennet from yeast.
Not blood.
Right, not blood. Yeah, in theory. So, I mean, I'm just talking about like the possibilities here. But,
So it's not clean right now.
yeah, I don't know.
It's just marketing.
It's
Marketing.
not ethical.
Do you have a better name? What's your
Well,
suggestion?
I'm just saying it's not ethical and it's not clean.
Right.
Because you have to kill a calf,
Yeah.
which means you're still killing animals for meat.
So-
how is it better?
So the way they source the fetal bovine serum at the moment is when they slaughter cows and say that one of the cows is like pregnant or something, like that's where they get the fetal bovine serum from. It's not like not as good as having like a vegan product on the farm or something, but it is definitely better in theory than like the sourcing it directly from an animal because the cell lines like you can replicate the cells up to a certain number of times, and that like
you
that.
don't replicate the serum.
No, yeah, but they need
You
to do
kill
it.
cows every time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they need to do this first to test out, what the reception is like, and then they get the blood, try to artificially create that. It's a phase process. They
I
can't
don't
just
know
jump
if you
from one
can.
thing to another.
fair enough. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with like the technical side of it, but I mean, I'm positive on it just because of like the huge upside. So it turns out also like learning more about clean meat makes people more open to eating it. So if you survey, like if you have a control group of people, you don't tell them anything about clean meat, ask them how much they like to eat it, and then tell them about how it works and the benefits. People are like more willing to be, which makes sense, I guess, but it's a pretty neat effect. So when can we try it? So in 2013, the first ever like full-sized lab-grown burger was made, and the first one cost around 25,000 Australian dollars, which is a lot. But in 2015, they got it down to $11, which is like a huge decrease. I don't think it's come down much further since then, unfortunately. But I mean, once you start to get economies of scale, you might get the cost down more. Once you can synthesize, like the things you synthesize, that could quite easily come down cheaper than the real thing. One of the issues at the moment is, as you point out, like the texture. So at the moment the fat content is basically none. So, and I guess that gives it a lot of this like texture and flavor. So that is one issue that makes a lot of the food. They get professional food critics to come and talk about, try these products and talk about them. And that's one of the big things they talk about, the texture and like fat content. And yeah, I guess that's just an extra hurdle we have to traverse. But this is why also like certain products are going to be easier to produce. Like imagine a steak is just going to be much harder than say like a ground beef product or something, or like even better, like milk could potentially be even easier because there's just no like texture issues you've got to deal with. It's just like a homogeneous liquid. Another thing with the meat is if the sample size gets too big, what happens, like the middle of that sample actually starts to decay, like it dies, and so at the moment like your meat samples can only get so big before you have to like separate them and then like combine them or something at a later point. So steak is just like a completely at the moment like really difficult problem. But things like ground beef I think is a lot more foreseeable. So last year Mark Post predicted it would be commercially viable in 20 to 30 years. There's that classic joke about like a lot of technologies being like 20 to 30 years off all the time. So we'll see. Yeah.
Why does it have to be 20 to 30 years when it's $11 now? I mean, apart from the whole
Yeah.
thing, can they do like a hybrid thing with a fat-based version?
They could, yeah.
Would that help microchemical battery?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's worked on that, but yeah, I don't see why not.
They were handing out burgers at which one?
Yellow one. Yeah, it's all, yeah, South by.
Not CES. They're handing out burgers at CES.
Which the
Yeah,
Impossible's a bit different.
The plant-based.
I'm going to talk about Impossible in a bit as well because it does use an aspect of cellular agriculture, but it's still based on plants. Okay, so I think the first kind of products we might see commercially available are like the really niche or expensive products. So for example, foie gras, which is duck liver with a really high fat content. The way they make that is like exceptionally bad. But at the moment that retails for about $140 per kilogram. The actual like consistency, the actual like texture and consistency of that is really homogeneous. It's just the fat content is like the main barrier. But $140 per kilogram is a much easier bar to pass than say like getting, I don't know what's the cost of ground meat these days, but like it's much lower per kilogram. Other things like Geophysics is working on creating cellular agriculture gelatin, which is derived from like essentially bones from bacteria and yeast directly. So and that's one that like actually we don't care about what it tastes like really, because it's just like it's used in like lollies and some other things. But yeah, that's one that we could see relatively soon. And as I said, like artificial rennet from genetically altered bacteria. Now, what does the future look like? This is just this is a joke website called bitelabs.com, but they were talking about getting cellular agriculture versions of like your favorite celebrity, so like a steak from like the example they use is like James Franco gives, like you take a cell biopsy from James Franco and you can buy it.
We're gonna eat
So there's no reason why, if we get to the point where we can do this easily for an animal, there's no reason why we can't do it for a human. There's no reason why we can't do it for like any other animal. We can, and then, like the possibilities are kind of endless. Like you could make a hybrid animal that tastes better than like actual like existing animals. Like the sky's the limit, and yeah, you can do kind of whatever you want.
Like,
So
it's-
very-
it's- it's chicken.
There's an ex-wife I'd like to know.
You're divorced.
Okay, she's gonna sell it first, I think. All right. So who are the players in this field? I'm going to talk a little bit more about impossible foods. So what they've done, which is a bit like cellular agriculture, is they've so the thing that gives meat, or one of the things that gives meat, is like really bloody, juicy texture. It's heme, as in like from hemoglobin in blood. What they've done is they've worked out how to extract that and then create that from cells. There's roots. There's like some plant roots that are like high in heme, and so they can extract that. And so the Impossible Burger, which is otherwise entirely just like plant-based, they've gotten this heme and they've put it in there to give it like its bloody and juicy kind of texture and like taste. So yeah, I mean that's getting a lot of like good reviews from critics. I've tried it a few times. I think it's really good. Just an example of like different products, but I mean there's like companies working on pretty much all the different things there, like silk, fishes, leather and gelatin, like two of the ones that actually we don't really care like what the taste is. So they could potentially be a lot easier. Pet food as well is another one that maybe we like care a little bit less about. You know, as long as the pet's happy and they're getting all their nutrients, and you know, if it's cheaper, then maybe that's the way to go for that.
It's got funding that they shop.
Yeah, Ryan. So Ryan Betancourt has this startup which they're making like pet food, cellular agriculture pet food. They're on Shark Tank, I think, like just a few days ago. And they I can't remember how much they got, but they got a little money. Yeah, it was like really, really big. So yeah, that's cool. I'm excited to see how that plays out. These are three of the like advocacy organizations around the world that are like promoting like cellular agriculture, but also plant-based food technology. Food Frontier is one that's based in Australia. They're relatively new, but they're one to keep an eye on here. I guess the three biggest countries in the world that are working on this are the US, Israel, and China at the moment. And I mean, there's no reason why we can't work on it in Australia, but there just doesn't seem to be as much interest for it here. Yeah, so I think that's all I've got. So happy to take any questions or wrap it up. Thanks.
Just worked. The first time the roving mic actually works. Excellent. I'm going to do a quick one after this. Just a very quick talk.
Okay. Oh yes, on gelatin.
Yes.
How does that work?
So gelatin. What is it, and why does it involve like animals?
Yeah, so they're doing a similar thing where they're developing it from like yeast, basically.
What is gelatin? What do they use?
Crushed up
What is
bone.
actual gelatin? Yeah, it's like crushed up. I mean, bones and other like bits. Yeah.
I've never been able to eat jelly again.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
all
like
the
a-
stuff with jelly beans.
Yeah.
And
A lot of products that you don't necessarily think of as like being not vegetarian. It's like
If it has the word jelly in it, it comes from crushed up bones.
Except for plant.
Most, yeah.
It's still blue.
It's all big.
Oh.
You said there's not much interest in Australia
Mm.
for this kind of technology or idea. Why?
That's a great question.
Is it politics or?
So that's my interest. So like I've been involved with the Animal Justice Party, and like that's one of my pet projects, and that is like for all the reasons I talked about earlier, that finding a way that we can encourage this research development in Australia, whether it's through like R&D funding or like other levers like taxes, subsidies. Yeah, I don't know why it wasn't picked up in Australia. I have no idea. If I knew maybe we'd be doing something about it, but I'm not sure.
Any other questions, guys? No more questions. Wrap it up. Thank you very much.
I think Steve's